Hey there, it's James Chapman with 123 Edge Live. I'm so glad you're here with me tonight, and for everyone that's been joining us here in the past few weeks, we've had a lot of fun with different business experts joining us here, giving their strategies and tips and ideas on what it really takes to be successful when running a business. Tonight, I have a very special treat for you. I have Josie Read. She's the CEO of Elite Business Services. She consults with Fortune 500 companies as well as small and medium-sized businesses and helps them really understand what they really need to be looking for in terms of their finances and their financials to set themselves up for success. Specifically, when we talk about the IRS, I know that's a... Oh, hold on, I got to turn that off. I forgot about the live feed that we just made. We just made this active in 22 Social, where you can actually have an autoplay on your live broadcast page. As you know, we broadcast all of our live events on Facebook at facebook.com/123edge. It's a Facebook app that we use called 22 Social, and it enables you to broadcast live events right on your Facebook page, which is pretty cool. It really helps us to leverage the strengths of each platform. So you've got YouTube, which is a very powerful social media platform, as you know. Video is huge. You've got, I'm sorry, I think I'm getting a little bit of an echo here. Hold on. Stand by one moment. I'm going to just check my settings here. Thanks. Just stand by. We're working on some technical challenges here with the mic setup. So 1 second. Okay, is that better? Yeah, I think that's better. You know, I just can't be so loud. I'm kind of a loud guy. There's going to be a little bit of feedback, and that's because Josie, who I'm about to introduce, is actually sitting right in the next room with me here, and her mic is picking up on my feed. So that's okay, though. We work with the technology we have, and we have some great info to share with you tonight. So it's going to be worth a little bit of echo on the mic side. So before we get into the meat of tonight's conversation, I'd like you to remember to please click up here and share our page with your friends. Leave us a comment below and let us know where you're watching from. And if you have any questions about bookkeeping, about finances, about setting up your financial situation properly for your business. Now, here's the thing. When I first started making money online, I had a whole lot of money coming in at one time. Money I wasn't used to having, right? So when you launch a product or you launch, you're part of an online organization, whether it's a network marketing company or somewhere where you're starting to generate income that you haven't generated before, it raises a lot of questions on how to best structure your finances so that you get the best tax advantages. So there's really important things you want to watch out for with respect to how all that's set up. And Josie tonight's going to give us some insight on that, as well as some other ideas just about what it takes to be successful with your own business. Now, she's seen a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, CEOs, and seeing them have wild success and also seeing them crash and burn. And there's a lot of common reasons why people are successful, and there's also common reasons why people fail. So before we do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Josie Read. Josie, how are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Thanks so much for joining me tonight on kind of short notice, and we're glad to have you here. And, you know, I think before we get into some of the other specifics, I just want to ask you, can you tell us a little bit about some of those common trends that you see from your perspective, what you've seen in the past for what's gone into making people successful when they start a business and when they come to you for help?
I believe the biggest thing that creates success is someone having a visible goal and planning each step based on that goal that they place for where they want to go. That would be the number one thing.
So do you feel like a lot of people, they might get started with an idea, but they don't necessarily have goals? And when you say goals, are you talking financial goals? Or are you talking about really a goal for what they want to provide to the market? Or what kinds of goals are you thinking about?
Having a big picture and then tracing your steps on how to get to that big goal that you have. Because if you don't have a big picture of where you're going, then you can't guide your steps for today. So that's the big thing, is to really know where you want to go financially or how big you want to be. All those things you have to take into account when you're making decisions for today of where you're going to be at tomorrow.
Awesome. Yeah, well, that makes sense. I know how important goal setting is and making sure you have kind of those targets in place. So I know you've seen a lot of businesses. You've worked with a lot of businesses. Can you think of maybe a common cause of failure where people have just they've lost control or the business hasn't worked out?
The biggest thing I can say is they don't put an emphasis on having a bookkeeper, because they think that either they can do it themselves or and then they end up not having the time to devote to actually doing the bookkeeping, things like that. And when you don't have a bookkeeper, you don't have anybody to advise you on what your numbers are actually doing and which is going to guide your business on whether or not you should do this or that. It's decision making. So when you don't have a bookkeeper, you're actually flying blind.
You know, that's a great point. And it reminds me, when I worked in the corporate world, we based all of our decisions, you know, all of my decisions really on a daily basis were based on numbers. You know, we looked at the previous day's numbers in all the locations that we had running, and we would base our decisions based on those metrics. We would know what areas and categories of the business were performing well and what areas needed help. And so I can see how that would be really important. And I know we live in an age of do-it-yourself, and this is something I constantly see, and it's pretty typical for a new business owner to come in and really want to bootstrap their business and do a lot of that work themselves. So they may be building their own website, setting up their own social media platforms, you know, doing their own bookkeeping, using an online bookkeeping service and thinking they can take care of that. Do you think that's a good strategy to start out, or is that kind of a bad strategy? Are you putting your time, energy, and effort in things that aren't your expertise and depriving your business from those areas that you are really good at? What's your take on that?
I believe you should concentrate where your passion is, which is the reason you went into business. Now, whatever it is you have a passion at that you're good at, that's what your business is. And if you aren't a bookkeeper, you're not going to be able to do it as good as a bookkeeper. You know, you're going to lose some time where you can concentrate on your passion. Your passion is what's going to grow your business, you know, because you are the expert at that. And when you take away from that side, then you're actually hurting your business if you don't leave what another person's passion is. My passion is bookkeeping, so I would do that really well, and I would be able to provide the numbers while you're concentrating on growing your business in the passion that you have, which is your expertise. So I would, as a bookkeeper for that company, would be actually helping you grow by you releasing that. You know, I know it's very hard to delegate or whatever, because, or you sacrifice because you don't have the money, but in a sense you cannot not have a bookkeeper, because that's what's going to hurt your business later, because you need that. You need that to help yourself grow, and you won't be able to analyze the numbers because you'll be strapped all over the place, or spread out all over the place, in other words. But it is better to do what your passion is and delegate the things that aren't to the experts that are experts in their field and in their passion.
Yeah, that's a great point, Josie. And let me ask you a question. You know, you refer to bookkeeper. What is the difference between a bookkeeper and a CPA? I know you've consulted for a lot of different companies, and you kind of developed a name for yourself because you were so good at finding like little pieces or little areas of the business where the company was losing money and tracking that down. And you're very detailed and you're very good at what you do. So how is that different than what a CPA does?
The difference between a CPA, in my eyes, which it used to be my dream to be a CPA, but I have had the ability, I have experience working with CPAs, and I learned along the way that CPAs are actually experts in single areas. They're chosen to be an expert in taxation, payroll, or whatever it is, but they can't give you the full facet. A bookkeeper usually has experience in those industries and can actually tell you almost better than a CPA in a sense, really what's going on in your business, because they know it from the inside out, and that almost is better than being book smart. You know, a CPA, they've gone and they've tested and everything, but that doesn't mean they're knowledgeable on all those facets. They're better at the financial statements and the big legal things than a bookkeeper. A bookkeeper is an underling, you know, but they're the ones that do all the footwork for a CPA. The CPA is just like the surface, and a bookkeeper is beneath doing all that work that provides that surface, you know, detail. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So the bookkeeper may actually, you know, have that ability and that vision to find things that a CPA necessarily wouldn't find.
Yeah, because we dig for the dirt.
Well, let's get into that. Speaking of dirt, you know, the IRS has been on a massive hiring spree. A lot of people have heard about that. They've heard about how, you know, with the Healthcare Reform Act, that's now kind of falls under the jurisdiction of the IRS. There's a lot of extra federal employees that are focused on collecting revenue for the government. And so, you know, I know a lot of people, I work with a lot of business owners, and some business owners are really disciplined with their finances, and they have absolutely zero concerns. Their books are tight, everything is accounted for, they're keeping track of their receipts, and they have no concerns. In fact, a good friend of mine was audited recently, and he was like happy about it. He's like, bring it on, they're not going to find anything. Whereas an audit may strike the fear into the hearts of most of the home-based business owners or small and medium-sized business owners that are just trying to struggle to keep all the details together. You know, what are a couple of the things that might be red flags for the IRS that might cause either an audit or at least even just more scrutiny? Or do people need to be that concerned?
It's lack of consistency. When the IRS, you know, 1 year you're claiming one thing, and it's just lack of consistency. That's the first red flag. Things not being filed on time, which is I know that it strikes fear in everybody, but in a sense, the IRS is almost there to help you. If you ask before it gets to that point where you're so scared of them showing up at the door, it's not good, but it's not the end of the world either. But it's better to be proactive with the IRS than reactive. So when they show up at your doorstep, you don't want that happening. You want to try and get on it. Even it doesn't matter how far you are behind. Just get on it today and start and be honest with the IRS in the sense you say, hey, I'm having this problem, or I didn't do this because I didn't know, or whatever it is, and they will work with you. They're more apt to work with you if you come to them than if they have to come to you, because that's when they know that they found something wrong. But it's better to just get on it today and not delay because you're scared or whatever, and it freezes you. I know fear freezes you when you get scared of the IRS, and all of a sudden you have inaction instead of action. So it's just better to start today and just start with little steps to get whatever it is you may be behind on. But don't fear them.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, we hear a lot about, just from a mindset perspective with anything, run towards your fears, right? Run towards the things that scare you the most and try and tackle them. And I guess that would be the same with the IRS. I don't picture myself running with open arms towards the IRS.
I don't think anybody does.
But I think that's a good point in terms of just making sure you're proactive. And so, if somebody, say there's a business owner out there and they're behind, and they know they need to be better about getting their books cleaned up, organizing their receipts, pulling them all out of that shoebox and putting them, organizing. Is that something they can tackle on their own, or do you? I mean, obviously you're an advisor, you're a bookkeeper, and you would say hire a professional. But if somebody were to take that on their own, is that something they can handle, or are they taking a risk doing that, or should they try to get somebody like you?
They're taking a risk doing that because a bookkeeper knows where to place those numbers, and somebody who's not familiar with taxes and how it would affect them tax-wise, they could make a big mistake and cause themselves to be taxed on more than they would have if a bookkeeper and placed the numbers properly, because you have assets, you have all that stuff, and all that comes into play when you file your taxes, and it actually lays you where your tax bracket is. But if somebody's doing it themselves, they're placing these numbers and really not understanding what is an asset or what is an expense or a capital thing, there's just different places that a bookkeeper will know where to place that numbers to benefit you so that you pay the least taxes than that person, because that's not your expertise. That's something that we do for, and are more versed in it than you would be at your, you may understand your business, but we understand the tax side of it. And so it's better to have a bookkeeper, and actually more cost effective than it would cost you. You may be saving money doing it yourself, but it may be costing you later because you didn't place it in the right tax area, to benefit you.
That's great. Yeah, that's so important. And as we know, there's so many tax advantages to actually running your own business. So I want to ask you about that for a minute. In terms of tax advantages, we hear about this all the time of why people should be starting their own business. Can you kind of give us an idea of some of the things that you can write off, or some of the tax advantages of doing that?
Tax advantage? Can you restate that, because I missed something there?
Well, what are some of the things that people can save money on by starting their own business? I mean, why is that a benefit to from a tax standpoint?
Well, in the beginning, like when you first start your business, there's a lot of write-offs, and so you end up not paying as much taxes. Like, let's say you have a job on the side, that you're still an employee as, and you start your business, then you have a lot of that write-offs that makes you pay less taxes, because you have those write-offs like your car. You put your car into service, and you can take a big bonus depreciation deduction in your first year that you put it in service. Little things like that give you good write-offs in the start of the business. But eventually, like I think third, fourth year, you want to start showing a profit, or that actually sends a flag to the IRS. If you always show a loss, they're going to show up your doorstep eventually. So eventually, you got to, because they're going to wonder why you're staying in a business that's a loss all the time. So
yeah, that's more of a hobby, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. In the end, if you're losing all the time, yeah, that would be more of a hobby.
Gotcha. All right. Well, Josie, I want to ask you, how would people get in touch with you if they wanted to, if they want to track you down? I understand you can offer a free 30-minute consultation to anybody that might be in that position where they're not quite sure what to do right now or where to turn in terms of their taxes and their bookkeeping, and they just need some direction. I know you're really good at that, and you're very knowledgeable. And so, is that right? Are you offering a free 30-minute consultation?
Yes, I would be happy to.
That's awesome. So how would people get in touch with you then?
By email or phone. Either way is fine with me. I can give you my email if you want that, or my phone number is great.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and why don't you give the email, and we'll start with that.
It's Elite Business Service 101. Do you want me to spell that out?
I'm going to drop it in the chat box here to contact Josie for a free 30-minute, and I know 30 minutes is give or take, so 30-minute consultation. Email her at, you say Elite?
EliteBusiness101@gmail.com.
Is it Elite Business 101 or Elite Business Services?
It's Elite Business 101.
Okay, 101@gmail.com. Awesome. We've got Becky in the house, and so Becky, thanks so much for being here, and anybody else that is watching, I know we have other viewers that haven't commented. If you do have any questions for Josie in the area of kind of bookkeeping, finances. Now, I know Becky runs a coffee shop up in, I think it's Bellingham, Washington. So I'm sure she's very familiar with the importance of having a good financial bean counter or a CPA as well as a bookkeeper. So Becky, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them, or anybody else. And in the meantime, while we're waiting, because there is about a 20-second delay on these, I wanted to ask you, Josie, for someone that's just getting started. Now, we do a lot of training online. We train people on how to run their own Google Hangouts like this as a content strategy, because this Hangout we're on right now, when we're finished, it will be stored on YouTube as a recording. And then it will continue to get search engine traffic as it sits there on YouTube. Also directing people back to Facebook here, which is a lead generation device. Anytime people click on the green button below, that goes into a registration platform where we can communicate with people via email. And so we train people on how to use these types of technologies in order to build their own business, build their own brand, whether it's a service or a product or a digital product. For someone that's just getting started and just starting to make money online, is there any kind of advice or direction you could provide for them as they're just getting started?
Direction in what manner? I'm not sure what you're asking.
Well, people, when they first start making money online, is there anything that they need to be concerned about? I mean, a lot of that money is going to be coming through PayPal. Should they set up a corporate entity right away? Maybe that's where I'm going with this. Should they set up an LLC or a sole proprietorship, or what's their best route in terms of how to structure that type of business?
The first suggestion I would have is to decide, because you must know really what your idea of how big you want to be. That's the first thing to decide is do I want to be a big corporation, or how much responsibility do I want? It just depends on how far you want to go. Before you can answer that, you have to decide how big you want to go. The biggest thing about corporations like LLC or your S corps and stuff, they provide an umbrella of protection against the person's assets. So in the event that their business fails, then the creditors will go after the business instead of the person's personal assets. And so that provides that protection. So that goes also in hand with really how big are you going to be? Are you going to need that protection? There's also tax benefits with the LLC and corporate the S corps, because the taxes, you're not taxed on an S corp. And personally, as a sole proprietor, you're taxed. You have your self-employment tax when you're a sole proprietor. So there's different advantages to different ones, but you first have to decide how big you want to be. That would be the first thing.
And I guess that is another reason why people should call you and schedule that 30-minute consultation to kind of get an idea of what the best option is for them, because every situation is going to be a little bit different, right?
That is true. And to answer your other question about when you go online, that you have to be prepared. There's structure that you want to put in place, such as really all that stuff, where that money is coming from. You have to have, like, I want to call it a Dropbox, where you have that stuff organized of where that money's coming from. If you have a bunch of different sources of income coming in and you're going to need to divide it for different reasons, let's say you have different partners, you're going to want to funnel that to where it can feed in, so you see where those sources are coming from, where that source of income is, so that you can adequately provide that data to whoever you are being in a partnership with. So there's different reasons for that, but you have to kind of know really kind of what structure you're going to have in place before you go online, because it will get busy fast, because there's a lot out there. So
believe me, I know. I'll tell you, when we first launched Selling on Social, which is our private workshop mastermind that I partner with Jerry Rocco and Will Irish, when we first launched that, we had some large volumes of money coming in pretty quickly, and we were not structured the way we needed to be structured. And once we got our hands around that and realized, that we needed to think this through better, we got it together before it got out of control. So you guys, there's tremendous opportunity out there in terms of any kind of passion or business that you want to launch or you want to run. It's absolutely doable for you, and this is just another component, having someone like Josie to help give you guidance or direction in terms of the financial side of things. So, Josie, I want to thank you very much for being my guest tonight.
You're welcome.
Any parting words of wisdom before we wrap it up?
No, not that I can think of.
All right, now, Josie, I'll give you a little tip here. You always want to leave with a call to action, a CTA. So you're going to want to say this. You're going to want to say, yeah, be sure to shoot me an email, and we'll get on the phone very soon.
Okay. I'll remember that.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks so much, Josie. And, guys, be sure to tune in next week. That would be Thursday. We're going to be switching to a Tuesday format here very soon. And next week is Thursday. Let's see. Oh, let me bring this up here. Hold on. We're in September. Thursday, September 18th, when I interview Michelle Zwicker. Now, Michelle is a productivity coach. And she works with some very well-known names that you would recognize if I name them. In fact, she's launching a program here very soon, around the same time, in the next couple of weeks, where she's interviewing some of the people she works with that are very big names. People like Greg Reed of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, Bob Proctor, some of those types of figures. That is going to be an awesome interview, and she's going to really talk about how to build momentum and how to stay focused and build momentum, and the big momentum killers out there that keep people from doing the activities that move their business forward, where they get distracted and they focus on other things. Now, she's an expert in this. And she's helped me a lot personally stay focused on the things that I really need to be focused on to drive my business forward. So don't miss that. We'll have the registration and event page up here in the next couple of days, so stay tuned for that. Check your email. If you have not registered yet, click the green button below. That'll put you on our email list. You'll want to check your email and make sure you confirm the registration. When you do that, you'll get email updates about our upcoming events, and you'll always get good tips and benefits on business success strategies to move your business forward. I also have some other guests coming up that are really awesome that I've already confirmed and set up for the next few weeks. So stay tuned. I'm going to be posting a schedule of upcoming events and the guests and who's going to be joining us. So definitely want to get on that list so you can be a part of it. All right, with that, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, and you can always catch the replay here shortly after for the next few days at 123edgelive.com. Next time we'll have the audio situation resolved so that we don't have the feedback going on. But until then, we will see you. Keep moving forward, and we will see you on the next event. Thanks so much.